Okay, so you guys remember my last video where I talked about the 4-issue miniseries released in 1992? The one that preceded Archie Comics' full run of Sonic the Hedgehog? Well, at the end of that video I said, and the later down the line led to some great things and some not so great things. Yeah, well, now's the time to do that part. I'm starting from issue 1 of Sonic the Hedgehog all the way to Sonic Universe issue 94. Using this list that was stolen from Ponnet Town's, quote, "Thanks Ken Penders" blog. Be sure to check out her comprehensive list in the description. I'll be using this and going in order of everything considered canon to the Archie Sonic franchise until that final issue. Every week I'll do about 5 issues and I'll give them each a review. Now granted, I will be skipping all the optional stuff such as the entire Mega Man series, as that's not actually part of the Sonic run. Only the issues of Mega Man that are in the Worlds Collide story will be included. Also, stuff like Sonic X and Sonic Boom will be skipped, because that would make this list a lot more difficult. I'll be doing separate videos on them, hopefully in the future, but for now, let's get started with Sonic the Hedgehog issue 1, released in 1993. Okay, now for this first issue, I do need to make a note about the previous comics as well. All of these were written by Michael Gallagher. I forgot to include that in the last part. The first chapter is called Meet Me at the Corner of Hedgehog and Vine, and follows Sonic and friends as they battle a mechanical plant called a Crudzu. The Crudzu isn't defeated by Sonic, merely the Rain as a fun little oversight from Robotnik's SWATbot, which came up with the idea. The story is very basic and essentially a perfect follow-up to the original miniseries, so my review score will be more in line with that context, in which I'm giving this chapter a 7 out of 10. The second story is called You Bet My Life, and is also written by Michael. The story starts with Sonic having to go to Robotnik's big speech at the Casino Night Zone, and being attacked by Robotnik's newest badnik, Orbinant. He's then shoved into a pinball machine and used as a Sonic spinball. Sonic breaks out and plants a bomb that blows up Robotnik's casino. The story was a lot more fun and it set up Sonic's game zones as actual locations in the comic, so it also gets a 7 out of 10. This first issue is a classic and honestly what started the Archie comics as a whole. It gets a 7 out of 10. Now, issue 2 starts with the story Triple Trouble. No, not that one. This one. Written by, wait for it, Michael Gallagher. I think most of the first 20 or so are written by him, so for now I'm going to stop saying it to a new writer pops in, which should be soon. Triple Trouble follows Sonic and Tails as they battle Robotnik's newest badnik, Coconuts. Tails leaves for a knothole while Sonic runs circles around Scratch and Grounder about adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog fame. The story is a fun link between the two shows that were out at the time, and so far is my favorite story out of these two issues, and I give it an 8 out of 10. The second story is titled Vertigo A Go-Go, and starts with Sonic collecting his magic ring where he is then sent to an unknown zone where he meets Horizontal and Vertical, before he is sent back to Mobius. It's a fun, short story, but nothing particularly reviewable outside of its visuals, which are 9 out of 10 except for this. Overall, the comic is short and sweet, and it gets a good 8 out of 10. Before we move to issue 3, I'd just like to make note of how much this comic loves its fourth wall breaks, and how these early books really love just to have fun. It's charming seeing that, really. Okay, now on to issue 3. Issue 3 starts with The Bomb Bugs Me, which follows Sonic, Sally, and Rotor on a quest to steal the bomb from Robotnik, which leads to hijinks. The bomb turns out to be a bug bomb, which is cleverly shown throughout the issue as bugs hide inside of Robotnik's lair. Overall, the story is interesting as a heist and has a fun twist. It gets a 7 out of 10. The second and far more important story in this issue is Rabot Deployment, which focuses on the origin of Bunny Rabot, a long-term character who will be featured prominently in the series for the next 2 decades. The story starts with Sonic and Rotor finding Bunny being stuffed into a bot-on-the-spot machine, and rescuing her, but finding she's been half roboticized. They escape to Knothole where a giant burrowbot attempts to destroy the forest, before Sonic and Bunny stop it together. It's a great introduction to her character and really shows her strengths. it's an 8 out of 10. Overall, this issue had one super important story and one fun little heist story, so overall it gets a 7 out of 10, or a 7.5 I guess. Issue 4 starts with The Lizard of Odd, a clever little wordplay, but most of the titles in this series are so far, but this one stood out to me. The story starts with Robotnik roboticizing a salamander and growing it into Universalamander, which is a pretty cool name, honestly. Sonic gets eaten by Universalamander and escapes, saying how he gathered all 7 Chaos Emeralds, which are green for some reason, and 50 rings, which makes Issue 4 the first appearance of Super Sonic. The newly transformed Super Sonic defeats the salamander and the story ends. For the fact it's the first appearance of Super Sonic, it gets a 9 out of 10. The second story is Tails' Little Tale. Sonic is asleep after his previous adventure, and Tails takes over as hero on his solo story, before being captured. But, using his knowledge, he shows his actual first win by himself by beating a Buzz Bomber and Orbinaut from Issue 2. Tails then goes to defeat Robotnik, but he's captured, and Sonic arrives to save him in the nick of time, and the story ends. It's a cute little adventure following Tails as the hero, and honestly, a fun little Tails adventure, so to speak. It gets an 8 out of 10. Issue 4 caps off with a solid 8.5 out of 10 for its entirety, and is my pick for the best in this 5-issue batch. Ending off this first episode with Issue 5 and its first story, Olympic Trials and Errors. Sonic and his friends start competing in the Olympics against a fat man with a mustache. Huh. Okay, I know what you're thinking. No, it's not that one. Yeah, it's that one. So, the story has Sonic lose his speed shoes, and he gets slow shoes instead, which drain his energy, much like Sonic Labyrinth. And a lot like Sonic Labyrinth, this story is very boring and kind of unnecessary. Sonic loses his speed shoes and then gets them back 3 pages later because they were just found in the dump by Tails, which I don't know why Tails was just in a random dumping ground, but overall, 6 out of 10, it's a fun concept. Another little note is they make fun of Antoine a lot in these stories. Like, a lot. They kinda hate him. Just a fun little note. Anyway, the issue caps off with the second story, Chomp on This, Chump, in which Sally is a really bad cook, and Boomer, later known as Rotor, orders an ant farm, which is revealed to be a termite nader, which eats through most of Knothole, before they give it some of Sally's horrible pancake batter, and reprogram it to eat metal, defeating Robotnik easy peasy once again. The story's just kinda there. It's the weakest in this batch of issues, 5 out of 10. Overall, this comic isn't really worth it. It's just there, 5 out of 10. And that wraps up this batch of issues. Thankfully, nothing too terrible has happened yet, but it's bound to eventually. Hopefully, the next 5 issues are better. If you enjoyed this video, please check out my other stuff shown in the card at the end of the video. Thank you for joining me on this episode 1 of the Archie Comics Sonic Review Series. I really need to get a better name for that, though. Thank you, and goodbye for now.